any questions after the presentation. And this presentation is going to be recorded actually. So we have already recorded it. We're starting it. And also you can follow us anytime on Instagram at Career Hub MATC. So welcome. And I'm going to give it away to Bob Holland to tell us about the Alumni Network.
Hi, my name is Bob Holland with the MATC Alumni Network. I've been with MATC for about 12 years, and we've really been concentrating the last couple of years on reconnecting with our alumni, and we started this alumni network. Like pretty much the rest of the world, our presence is virtual. You know, we're online. And so in the chat box, I'm going to be putting in some links. You can see on the screen that we have a Facebook page, and then there's also a link there to sign up for our alumni newsletter, and it's a monthly e-newsletter that goes out. It's called Boom, so the kind of little play on the whole Stormers thing, you know, because storms go boom. So that's where we came up with that. I'm also going to put some links in there for we're doing an alumni. Oh, excuse me. The alumni interest survey to find out how we can better serve our alumni. And we've got a discount program that I'll be putting a link to up as well. But one of the things that I really like to tell our alumni is we want to know your story. So I'm also going to be putting my email address up into the chat because I really want to learn about what our alumni are up to after they graduate. So, and then on our alumni website, and I'll put a link to that as well, we have a section called Alumni Notes. And that's just like quick updates about what's going on in your life now, and because we want to shout that out. And then on Facebook, you know, we're always tweeting out things that about what our alumni are up to now. So that's pretty much what I have prepared. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer. Thanks, Omar.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. This is great information, and I hope everybody is going to be able to get into the alumni network, and then we'll be finding out a lot about students and successes. All right, so let's welcome our current and future alumni. With us, we have our moderator, Dr. Beck, and we have our panelists, Becca Blank, Evelyn Lynn Marshall, and Josefina Perez. Okay, Dr. Beck, this is your time now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the MATC Alumni Spotlight, the healthcare segment. I thank you for taking your time to join us. So as we highlight some of MAT's amazing alumni, again, thank you for the introduction. Thank you to the Career Hub team and the Foundation Hall team for orchestrating this amazing event. So I am Dr. Darlene Beck. I am a proud alumni as well. I graduated from MATC in 2004, receiving my practical nursing diploma. And then I returned to receive my associate degree in nursing. And from there, from that great foundation that was laid, I was able to pursue my bachelor's and master's from Concordia University. And as of 2020, I obtained my doctoral degree in clinical practice. So, but it all started at MATC. Our motto is start here, you can go anywhere. So I just have a few pictures here just to highlight some of the things that I've done in the community or been recognized. In 2015, I helped charter nursing sorority, Theta Chi Chi of Chi Eta Phi. In 2017 here, I won the award for Outstanding Educator. The picture that's at the bottom, that was our last day of nursing school, and we were nursing school survivors. So I'm just excited to be here just to share my journey, but enough about me. Let's hear from the panelists. Thank you so much, Becca Blank, Evelyn Lynn Marshall, and Josefina Perez for joining us today. We're going to start with Becca Blank. The first questions that I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to have Becca start first. I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. And then while doing so, I would like you to share with our viewers, when did you attend MATC? what program did you graduate from? And then also, why did you pick that particular area of healthcare?
Thank you. My name is Becca, and I am married. I've been married for almost 11 years. I have 2 kids, and I started at MATC actually in 2012, and I changed my degree focus, and I came back in 2018 for the nutrition and dietetic program, and I graduated in May of 2020. I picked that degree because nutrition became a big part of my life. I didn't know how deeply food affected people's health and their overall life. So I really wanted to learn more about that and have that practical application in my own life. And it was a great experience going there.
So I see here, Becca, you have some pictures that you shared. Could you give us a little background about the pictures that you have that we're viewing now?
Yes. So after I graduated, I actually came back and started working at MATC. I started the student nutrition program, and it was our pilot program this first semester in the fall. We served about 650 students, so we did really well. These pictures are from our nutrition counseling sessions, providing food to our students, and then also a very large food giveaway that we did with Feeding America.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom picture, I had just passed the CDR registration exam, so huge moment, very proud, super excited.
Well, thank you so much. It's amazing when students can return back to where they graduated from and utilize those skills and things that they, experiences that they obtain. Just like you, Becca, I returned back to MATC, and I am a full-time nursing educator outside of my community role as an adult gerontology nurse practitioner. So again, the foundation of MATC has catapulted us to do amazing things here in the city of Milwaukee and surrounding areas. Next, we're going to go to Evelyn Lynn Marshall to share with us the same thing. Tell us a little bit about yourself. When did you graduate from MATC? What program? And why did you pick that particular area of healthcare?
Good morning, everybody. Well, good afternoon. I started at MATC. Well, I restarted at MATC in 2014. I have a degree from another local college, and signed up and got my prereqs and everything done, and went into the Associate Series Registered Nursing program. I worked as an LPN halfway through the program, if anyone is familiar with how the RN program works, and became an RN in December of 2018. I chose the program. I actually had a totally different career prior to nursing, and my mother and my sister are actually nurses as well. So I've always kind of been surrounded by it. And all paths just led right back to nursing. I chose MATC basically because I knew the reputation and the community that the school had, and I wanted to be a part of that. So that's kind of my story.
That is absolutely amazing. And I definitely agree with you regarding MATC having a wonderful reputation. I hear it all the time when I'm out at the clinical sites that we want MATC graduates. So thank you for sharing that. I see here you have some pictures that we're viewing. Could you give us a little background about what I'm seeing here?
Well, the first picture is actually from my my Facebook page. If you can't kind of see like the picture in the background, I actually just became engaged back in November.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful.
Is, my cat Mittens. As you can see, she's actually sitting on top of one of my nursing books. whenever I studied, she would sit on my computer, or she would sit on my books, or she would rip Post-its out. So she was kind of part of my nursing journey as well. The next couple pictures were actually at graduation. If you could see my smile, I was very happy to get to this point, which I think most of us were,
Yes.
at that point.
Yes,
But the
absolutely.
other pictures, my 4 children, my oldest daughter, who actually just turned 21 today. My oldest son is 19, and my youngest daughter is 17, and my youngest son is 14.
Okay.
The bottom picture with the mask on, that was actually the unit that I worked on at Sinai. I was at Sinai for a couple of years. We were actually the designated COVID unit. So when all of this began, I'll never forget March 19th of 2020. That was just kind of, I want to say this was probably around April or so. So we were still kind of in the middle of the fire with COVID and everything. So this was just kind of like a moment of breathing that I had for myself. And then the bottom picture with all the red, that is a nursing organization that I'm a part of. It's called Code Red Nursing Mentors. And I'm actually the director of student nurses. So I help to coordinate a lot of the things with student nurses, basically trying to help them get through nursing school, whether it is, academic. We provide mentoring services for our students. We try to put on, different educational things just to kind of help them develop some of the more harder concepts of nursing school, try to break those down to where they can understand. And, it's just a large network of nurses, nurse practitioners, and things like that. And I'm very proud of the community work that we do, because I also am a diabetic and hypertension community educator. So we are really, in the community, even, so much virtually, we're kind of adjusting to that as everybody is still. So that's kind of my life in a nutshell.
Well, thank you so much, Evelyn, for sharing with us some of the most amazing moments on your journey. I definitely see you out here in the community representing nursing very well. So I just want to, give you that shout out. So we're going to keep it moving and hear from Josephina Perez. Again, tell us about yourself. When did you attend MATC? What program did you graduate from? And why did you pick that particular area of healthcare?
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. My name is Josephina Perez, and I am a graduate of the Pharmacy Technician Program, year 2010. My journey in regards to my education started back in spring 2009. At that time, my employer was downsizing, and I was one of many people that they had let go. I remember driving home that day. I was really distraught, and I spoke to my mom and my sister about it, and just not sure what plans or, what my next move would be. I remember my sister had suggested, why don't you go back to school? And so that afternoon, I remember going onto the MATC website and looked over the programs and ultimately selected the pharmacy technician program. The reason for selecting that, initially, I wanted something that would give me some job stability, and knowing that pharmaceuticals are, they're approved all the time, and I just felt like this would be a good fit for me. I am certified in the state of Wisconsin, and I'm also a member of the advisory committee at MATC for the pharmacy tech program as well.
That is absolutely amazing. Something that you said stood out to me, job stability. I believe MATC is definitely known for preparing their students for the job market right away. So thank you again for sharing. I see here you have a video and a couple of pictures. If you can share with us the background of, give us some background information.
Okay, so the video is just, it's a short video of the IV room that I currently work in. I currently work at Drexel Town Square Health Center in the infusion pharmacy. And this was like, I think, one of our first weeks that we had opened. So we were fairly slow. And I just wanted to show my kids, you know, what environments I worked in, because they thought that I was the technician that, you know, counted tablets or capsules and put them in a little orange bottle.
Uh-huh.
So I made that just to show them. The middle photo is the day of my graduation. I actually just came home that day, and my mom wanted to take a photo of me. So that's what that picture is. And the other image that's posted, this is me working in the IV room at Freighter Hospital's main campus in Wauwatosa. This is the day hospital pharmacy, and they prepare chemotherapy medications, either IV or orals. And my particular role, this picture that you're seeing, I was working with the investigational drug service, which is the clinical research part of pharmacy. And at that particular moment, I was counting oral medication in the hood, and was just going back to the table and grabbing something and going right back in the hood for the drug.
Wow, all amazing careers that you guys have, very much needed in today's society, from nursing to dietitian to pharmacy. So we really appreciate you just, you know, leading the way with these professions. So my next question, and we're going to start back with Rebecca. I want you to think about, what advice would you give to someone who is aspiring to pursue a career in healthcare? We have viewers on here that are either currently pursuing a career in healthcare, or they may want to one day. So I want you to share with them advice that you have regarding pursuing a career in healthcare.
I would suggest staying focused and being extremely organized. The more organized and focused that you can be, the better equipped you are to advance, gain experience, improve on your own areas, and benefit those around you. And then also be creative and have an open mind, because you are not limited to just being the caretaker in your immediate position, but like we've heard from our other panelists as well, is that you can have a foothold in other areas in your community as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Becca. Evelyn, what advice would you like to share to someone that's pursuing or thinking about pursuing a career in healthcare?
I guess the first thing I would say, especially now, because as we all know, COVID has changed just literally like the course and the face of healthcare and what's expected of you fairly rapidly. So I would honestly say, make sure that it's something that you honestly care about and that you are devoted to. Nursing, as we know, and it's actually kind of funny that, with the dietitian and the pharmacy, is because they're part of our collaborative team with either a dietitian or someone in pharmacy. So I always say, be prepared to work with teams. This is not an isolative career. It is something that's very broad. So, don't just come into it either with just a one-track mind of what you're going to do. Come in and, just be ready to spread your wings, because nursing is something that, especially now, has penetrated so many areas, whether it's education, whether it's working in the hospital, whether it's working in the community. So be prepared to just, spread your wings a little bit and be prepared to work hard, because nursing school, despite what anybody says, nursing school is hard. So be prepared to work.
Yes, it is hard. Absolutely. Awesome advice. Josephina, do you want to share any advice regarding those that are aspiring to pursue a career in healthcare?
Well, I believe that if anybody wants to pursue a career, they should have a genuine interest in that career. I think that will help them be successful. And I know a lot of times, students in healthcare can get discouraged, with overwhelming of assignments or just, life in general. But, the end result will be worth it. And all I can just recommend is to just stick with it.
Yes, absolutely. The results are wonderful. Thank you guys for sharing that advice. I'm sure our viewers really appreciate that. I'm going to move into the next question. Were there any defining moments, whether during your journey as a student or while you're currently working in your prospective field, were there any defining moments that stood out and helped you get through rough patches? I'll just kind of highlight a couple of mine. When I first started at MATC, I met with a counselor who's now retired. His name was Robert Kurth. And I didn't do too good on my entrance exam for the math. And he said something that still echoes with me today. Anything worth having, you're going to have to put hard work into it. So that still echoes with me today. And another thing, one of my nursing instructors, Miss Rosemary Noble, she said that you make your career what you want it to be. So those two things still I carry with me today when I have rough patches, whether it was during my years as a student or now working in the field. So if you can share with us any defining moments that helped you through rough patches, and we'll start with Rebecca.
So right after high school, I actually started at UWM for nursing, and I had wanted to be a nurse since I was 4 years old. But once I got into my first semester, it was hard and I couldn't keep up. I went from being a straight A student to failing my first nursing course. But I didn't lose the passion. I still wanted to help people. And obviously then I found that food can really help people in their health and their journey.
Absolutely.
And then the second thing was just before entering the diet tech program, I felt very nervous and unsure about going back. I was a mom. I felt old, like people are going to be mean. But my mother-in-law said, don't worry about any of that stuff. You can do whatever you set your mind to. And what if you actually do very well and you achieve it and you conquer what you're afraid of and you overcome it? And I'm glad I listened to her because she helped me realize that those fears don't hold anything over me and I could do it. And I did it very well. So overcoming that was probably the biggest thing for me.
That is absolutely wonderful. I mean, our words have power and we just don't know, like the right thing being said at the right time. Just give us the oomph that we need to continue on our journey. All right, Miss Evelyn, if you can share with us any defining moments that help you with a rough patch. You're muted.
Okay, sorry. Kind of like you, Dr. Beck, even before I got into the program, she's no longer there. I think she actually works in Michigan now, Dr. Shuba Samuel.
Okay.
I was getting ready to study for my entrance exam, and of course, like any adult that's returning to school after almost a decade and have a family and everything else, I was very nervous, especially about the math portion. Never have been pretty strong in algebra. So she sat down with me and basically she was like, you are going to take this book and you are going to study, you are going to practice, and you are going to get, I want to say, I think it was like a 50 or something in that section. She was like, and you are going to continue until you get a 50. Because when you get into nursing school, this is where your foundation is. You have to keep going. Like no matter what you don't think, you don't understand, keep going. Kind of like halfway through the program, one of my other instructors, she kind of pulled me to the side. I was literally having an anxiety attack in the hallway. And it was prior to a test where I actually had forgotten my name. So she pulled me to the side and she was like, I need you to breathe. She was like, I need you to calm down. She said, the one thing I want to tell you, she was like, is that you know more than you think you know. She was like, but you can't do that right now because you can't even remember your name. So she grabbed me by the shoulder. She was like, what is your name? And just kind of from that moment forward, it was still moments that I kind of doubted myself, but I always had to remember, you know more than what you think you know. And even working in the community now, I see that. And I guess one final moment was probably, it was actually getting ready to go into my 4th semester. I had a very close death that really, really, really affected me. And I didn't want to continue. I just didn't see how it was going to. And when some of the staff got word that I was going to drop out going into my 4th semester, I don't think I've ever gotten that many phone calls, inboxes, and texts, because I didn't even think that the teacher, I know they cared, but I didn't know that they cared that much. Yeah. And they were like, no, we will help you get through this. We will be right there. We don't care if you have to walk out of class. We understand, but you've gotten this far, you're going to get through it. So every time I, even now, if I feel, a certain way, or I'm kind of upset, I always think about the fact that not only were these instructors caring, in the community, in their jobs, but they were also caring for me. So that kind of set the bar of where I wanted to be as a nurse as well.
Thank you so much, Evelyn, for sharing that. Not only do our words have power, but our actions have power as well. There's a quote, and I really don't want to misquote it, but it's something about no one really cares how much you know, but they really care how much you care, or something like that. But as students, you want to know that your instructors are there for you. So thank you for sharing that, Evelyn. All right, Josephina, if you can share with us any defining moments that helped you during a rough patch, whether as a student or in your career.
Well, as excited as I was starting to go to MATC for the pharmacy tech program, I was also nervous. I believe I was like 30 years old at the time. And, I'm a mother. I was a young mom too. And so initially I felt discouraged. I didn't think that, I would be able to follow through and complete it. And over time, I remember in class, our class number got smaller and smaller because, people were dropping out. And, it also, hit me in a way that, maybe, I doubted myself, of course, and thought that, I wouldn't be able to do it. But my teachers saw my potential and they cared about me and they wanted to see me succeed. And so they stuck by me. They offered me additional resources so that I could, pass the classes. And if I had any questions about anything, they were there to answer. I owe a lot to my instructors who were in the program. They helped me become the person I am today, and I love what I do. So yeah, at first it was nerve-wracking and stressful, but in the end, like I said before, it's worth the wait, as long as you just stick with it.
Absolutely, Josephina. Thank you so much. Something that you said stood out to me, and I think it will echo with others, that sometimes our situations can blur our vision, and sometimes it takes others to help us see the potential that we truly have. So, and I say that to say that, yes, absolutely, perseverance. Outside of everything else that I'm doing, I started a business called Setting the Bar, and that was established to help others see reach their full potential in various areas of their life. So thank you guys for sharing those defining moments. Next, I want you to, you may have talked about a little bit about your journey since graduating from MATC, but I kind of want you to expound on that. And we'll start with Rebecca.
Well, in my final semester for my field experience, kind of internship hours, I was faced with the shutdown of COVID. So I had to change gears, and with the assistance of my teacher, Heidi Cotty, and also Carol Voss, we found a grant opportunity through the American Cancer Society. And that was my final project for school. And I was working with the West Dallas Fire Department at the time. So I helped write this grant proposal, submitted it, everything was good, and I graduated. And I hadn't heard anything about it for a couple of weeks until Heidi sent me an email and said that the grant was approved and if I would be interested in coming back to work at MATC running this student nutrition program because I had written the grant for it. So why not come back and run and develop the program even further? So that was how I got into the position. And I mean, it was a dream job. I loved it. It was great. We did a lot of nutrition counseling, food distribution for students, hands-on nutrition education, development, recipe development, videos on the MATC YouTube playlist. So that was kind of my journey to where I am now.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome, Becca. Thank you for sharing that. What you do, I mean, dietary and everything that concerns that is very important, especially in society today. I'm actually learning how to re-eat, like learning how to eat in a more healthier way. So, Evelyn, if you want to share with us or expound more on your journey since graduating from MATC, what are you up to?
Ooh, that's a very broad question for me. Even before I left MATC, even in my prerequisites, I was very active at MATC. I started as just like a member of the Student Nursing Association and the Future Black Nurses Association, and ended up being a president for 2 semesters at MATC for Future Black Nurses, and remain an active member of Student Nursing Association at the same time. Okay. Since nursing school, wow, I have done a lot of community work. One of the more notable things was last year, Advocate Aurora held their first nursing conference. And if not a lot of people are familiar with Advocate Aurora, Advocate is in Illinois and Aurora is here in Wisconsin, and they merged completely as of last year. So they are one of the largest healthcare systems I want to say in the Midwest, or I want to say they're like the 4th largest in the US now. And they have little workshops and things like that. And one that I was very, very interested in was the sustainability. Having 4 children, you learn to, do some different things and make some different things kind of happen. So I've always just kind of looked at, on our unit, where we could save money, where we could do different things. And just knowing what, especially like the nursing students and things at MATC, I went to actually my manager and I was talking to her. I said, what about if we start like a stethoscope recycling program? And basically what that was is we had like disposable stethoscopes, and unless it was like a patient's room where we couldn't, use that, if it was at some point we could, gather these up, have a way to, sanitize and disinfect them and send them to the school. Well, kind of like halfway through COVID hit once again, so that kind of crushed that plan. But then what we started to do was I was like, I wanted to know how much these things cost, when we use them. So basically what we ended up doing was we ended up just like saving them, unless it was for a patient's room that, was in isolation and we couldn't. We had a way to just like collect them all, disinfect them, clean them, and we just reuse them versus using that money. But then like a second portion onto that was also, I used to, when I come home, for anybody that's a nurse or anybody that works in healthcare knows that when we come home, we have everything in our pockets. Right. So basically, I had this idea of doing a pocket dump. And so what I did was I put like a bucket by the door in our break room. And once we left, you just empty everything out of your pockets, whether it was pens, markers, alcohol pads, flushes, which are notorious for going home with us. And what we did was at the end of the week, we would separate these things out, and those things that we could actually keep, disinfect, and reuse, we did that. So we ran that trial program for about a month, saw how much money the unit saved. Then it was kind of implemented hospital-wide. And over some time, we saved a few $1,000s just from the pens and the markers. So I was actually nominated and I won the Live Green Award. It was one of 24 nurses citywide. And I won that. It was kind of a shock that I won. I was like, just a mom, kind of using my mom brain here. And it's just still something that kind of goes with me now. Very involved in the community. It's a lot of stuff. I'm probably involved in probably way more stuff than I probably should be, but that's just part of who I am.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lynn. A couple of things, or a few things that stood out to me. Organizations, being a part, getting involved in the community, and being a change agent for your employer. Absolutely wonderful. If Josephina, if you want to share with us and expound on what you're doing since graduating from MATC.
Sure. So I graduated in December of 2010, and shortly after that, I was hired on by Freighter in April 2011. And I began working in the inpatient pharmacy, which is like their main central hub in the hospital. Within my first year, I was trained to sterile compound. And by the end of that first year, I was compounding chemotherapy medication and was also rotating from central to the day hospital pharmacy. So I did that for about another year before I became a permanent technician in the day hospital pharmacy. And then shortly after that, I was selected to work with the investigational drug service. And like I had said before, that's the clinical research part of pharmacy at the main campus. And I spent the majority of my time in that department. We prepared and dispensed, investigational products for clinical research. And short after that, I went to where I'm currently at now, Drexel Town Square. There was a position that opened for an infusion pharmacy technician here. So I applied for the full-time position and was selected to work out here. So I've been here now for about 3 years. In total, I've been with Freighter for 10 this April.
Wow, absolutely awesome. As you were sharing that, Josephina, what came to me is don't be afraid to evolve. To the aspiring students, don't be afraid to evolve in your career. Once you graduate, there will be so many opportunities for growth. So don't be afraid to welcome those opportunities. So I have one last question, and I just want you to take a minute or two to answer. What is the one thing you wish you had known before that you know now? So for me, something that I know now that I wish I knew before is I wish I knew when I first graduated how important it is having a mentor. Early on in my career, I wish I would have had a mentor, someone that I could turn to, someone that's been in the field, that has experience, that has wisdom. I have mentors now, but early on I didn't. So if you can share with us, that's just my one thing, but if you can share with us, what is the one thing you wish you had known before that you know now? And we'll start with Rebecca.
I wish I would have known the value of taking additional classes outside of my program. Some things that would have been very beneficial for me would have been a culinary class and a photography class. I had already taken some business and marketing classes, but having that extra boost professionally and personally would have been extremely helpful.
Yeah, I can see that regarding the culinary and the photography, and especially how it even can relate to your current career. So thank you for sharing that. Evelyn?
One thing I wish I knew then and I know now is, as a nurse, to practice what you teach your patients. especially when it comes to taking care of yourself and just being well yourself.
Yes.
Throughout nursing school, I didn't know what sleep was. I found out shortly, probably like going to my third semester, what sleep was, you know, what stepping away is, just maintaining my mental health and my physical health.
Yes.
Kind of like you, Dr. Beck, in nursing school, what is food? It's whatever we can pick up at the moment,
Right.
and coffee. I really overdid it on coffee in nursing school. So just really learning to take care of myself, even in the process. That's something that, you know, it already takes a lot of your time. So, you know, you're having to try to divide your time between your family, your studies and everything. And kind of to reiterate one of the other students, one of the other alumni was saying about being older. When I returned back to school, I was 35, going on 36. So outside of one of the other students, I was one of the older students in the class. And pretty much, I had that whole isolation, and it kind of, you know, played into a lot of the lack of me taking care of my mental health. So I felt like I had something to prove because I was older. So just really taking care of myself. And even after graduating, just learning to step away, you know, breathe. It's okay. I don't have to do everything. So that's one of those things that if I knew now what I knew then, I probably wouldn't have as much gray hair at this point.
Well, thank you so much, Evelyn, for sharing sharing that with us. I know the viewers that are watching and those who watch later definitely will take those nuggets and apply them. All right, Josephina, if you can share with us, what is something that you wish you knew, that you know now that you wish you had have known?
Well, to be honest with you, I never realized how fascinating the field of pharmacy was. There's a lot more to it than just, you know, counting tablets and putting stuff in a pill bottle. There's a whole slew of positions that we are a part of. And I think that if anybody were to get in the field of pharmacy, I could say they most likely won't be disappointed. You're learning something new every day. You know, it's like I said before, job stability, and there's definitely some growth there. I'm fortunate that I've had the opportunity with the organization that I'm currently with to be in the positions that I have been in for the amount of time that I've been here. And with all of that knowledge that I've gained, you know, I'm humbled by it, you know, like it's just a wonderful experience for me. You know, my first time actually knowing about pharmacy, like I didn't know a thing about pharmacy until I was a student at MATC, and we had a field trip to Freighter Hospital. And my whole thought at the time was, you know, I'm going to be working in like a retail pharmacy when I'm done with the program. You know, I'm really excited. But they showed me an entirely different area of pharmacy that I had known nothing about. And we did the walkthrough in their pharmacy, and I was just amazed that this is what they also do. And it sort of like set my mind as far as like what I wanted to do when I completed the program. I said I wanted to work inpatient, and I'm working inpatient now. So
that's absolutely wonderful. And I'm glad to hear that you're doing something that you love to do. Actually, from all of you, you know, you worked hard, and now you're working in the field that you put the work in. So I truly thank you. Thank you so much to all of the panelists, Becca, Evelyn, and Josephina, for taking the time to just come be an inspiration to the viewers and those that watch later. Thank you again to the alumni team at the Career Hub for taking the time to shed a light on our amazing alumni. So if there are any questions for the panelists, I guess we can take those right now.
Are there any questions for participants? Don't be shy. They're here to help you out and ask you, be able to answer any questions that you might have about their field and their experience.
I do have a question. has anyone, like, are you considering pursuing further education? I know Becca talked about that she wished she would have, probably took a culinary or photography, but not necessarily that, but anything. Are you thinking about pursuing any further education in your field or even outside of your field?
Right now, for me, I am in the process of completing my bachelor's. I only have 7 classes to do. As of this week, I'm now 3, so I only have 4. My plan, I was going to go into becoming a nurse practitioner, but teaching has always been my thing. Like I guess because the way I learn and the way I like to have those complex concepts broken down into a way that I can remember them, test out, but they also stick. And just being able to impart that knowledge back into someone who was in the same position I was in, very scared or feeling like their age was a problem, or having these things go on, but still know that they can do this. I'm looking more towards education at this point, and a little closer than I had initially expected, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to coming back to MATC, as a matter of fact.
And I'm sure we welcome you with open arms. It's always good to see our past graduates return as employees. So I believe there's a question in the chat box. So I'll read it here. Okay, so there may be students who are looking to do a career change into healthcare. What advice can you give them to help ease their fears and unknowns with going back to school? Anyone can answer.
I would just say just go for it. If it's something that you're very passionate about, and I always say if it's this nagging feeling that this is where you're supposed to be, this is where you're supposed to be. Just know that, I'll always say, develop a support team, whether it's, your own family, or even getting to know your instructors is a very, very important piece of that. Get to know your instructors, get to know the students that are around you. So yeah, I would say, and just kind of, if you get a chance to shadow somebody, do that and ask 1.5 million questions. As I think everybody in healthcare that works here can say, we answer 1.5 million questions anyway. So right. Those 4 or 5 won't be, so bad.
Thank you. We have a question from Jenny McGilligan. Any advice on what to do or not to do on your first day of a new job? Anyone can answer.
Well, don't show up late for one.
Right.
Correct. Good answer. Okay. What advice would, okay, give me 1 second to go back up. What advice would you have for balancing multiple life and roles? I'll let the panelists answer, and then I'll shed a light with that as well. Anyone from the panel want to answer that?
I'd say that you'd have to find your balance of what works for you, your family, your schedule, and then be willing to be flexible. Maybe something doesn't work and you need to cut something out that is appropriate to cut out, and then be honest with yourself.
I think Becca answered it in a great way, so I won't even add to that. Any other questions before we close out? All right, Omar, I'll give it back to you.
Well, I want to give you a big shout out to all of you. This has been our first Alumni Spotlight, and it's great. And this is going to be the first of many other ones as we're going to be planning in the future. So I'm really grateful for all the guests and all of the departments that cooperated with us. So you can see at the bottom, Career Hub at MATC, and then you can see also the foundation alumni. So thank you, everyone. This has been awesome. We want to see you again. Hopefully you're going to be coming back with us. And then, this is amazing. I love all of you. And then thank you for making it a reality now and then really successful for our first Alumni Spotlight.
Thank
Other,
you.
other
Thank
than that,
you.
see you everyone.
Have a great rest of the day.
And don't forget to follow us at Career Hub at MATC EDU and Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. This is awesome. Oh, let me see.